Welcome to Feminine Power Time. Turn off the chatter and tune in to what matters. This is Christine O'Reilly, your host, and this is the place where we come to reimagine the world from the inside out by marrying together wisdom, well-being, and leadership, our personal leadership, to use our voices, our choices, our presence, how we live, how we work, how we lead, how we show up, to shape the world that we know is possible now and for the generations to come. We are on a very important team here, you all. This is the place where we gather together. Sometimes I like to call us Team Elevate or Team Reimagine or Team Pioneers, or we talked a couple episodes ago about the Shambhala warriors, the heart warriors that are here at this time to help humanity awaken its heart, not by proselytizing or evangelizing or convincing, but about choosing to be just, it's said again and again, but we still don't get it, the change we wish to see. And oh my gosh, wouldn't it be so much better if we could, well, not better, it might be easier if we could just, sit around and talk and, espouse our thoughts about things and blah, 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 blah. And then, then things would shift. But that is not how it works. There's lots of people who like to talk a lot, but don't do what we call walk the talk. And there are so many, sometimes we hear them called the unsung heroes, the people who you just have no idea the impact that they've made until they've gone or, maybe never. And that is true leadership to me. That's honorable leadership where humility and dignity come together to create a field of honor. And we are here today at our December Downshift to start that field of honor, to actually put some energy into it. I don't want to say start it, because I really do believe, and you can choose to believe this or not, up to you, I'll just put it out there for all of us, that what we are seeing in the world right now, all over the world, is a lack of honor, in a distortion of not dignity, not humility, but both the distortions of the feminine would be the I can't do anything, I'm disempowered, I just need to give over my control to others, or there's nothing I can do. And then on the opposite side is the distortion of hubris and not caring about impact and thinking, you're almost like a god and you could just do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, or not really realizing the very important part of humility, which all great teachers and leaders, I think, have always embodied. So one of the things we do to make it through and walk through these intense times is to practice and lean into our rituals and practice and lean into rhythm. And this could be so simple that we could miss the significance of it. I feel like I've been what I call a power pause or a pause pusher for 20 years, ever since I learned, whoa, there's this cycle of the year, and there are these natural times, if you look around at nature, where nature is slowing down, the trees have lost their leaves, we're in the winter time in the northern hemisphere, it's summer in the south, but in the year cycle, we're at the end of a calendar year. And so those are good times to slow down, which is why every December I drop in an episode called the December Downshift. And I'm naming this one the December Downshift and also the consciousness upshift, because where we are right now in time and place and space, I really think we need both. Both are happening anyway. The December Downshift is how we move from the fast pace and race of it can even be good stuff that we've liked to do, that kind of fifth gear of operating, and also the intensity of a very intense year. I was just working with a team that I've worked with for a couple of years, and we decided that their December Downshift, we do year-end pauses, and was going to be really focused on light this year and all of the celebrations that they had, all the things they had accomplished in the last 4 years. We actually went back 4 years, and it was so energizing and so life-affirming and so energy-giving. And this team happens to be based in Los Angeles, and the big fires happened in LA this year, and they didn't forget it, but it was like going back in time to that as well, and just looking at how many things had happened over just the course of this year. And wherever you're at on the planet right now, we're all having a lot of energy and facing a lot of intensity and a lot of things that look really scary and are. No one on the planet is outside of this, although there are some people that seem to be in control of it. But when we put our wise eyes on why we're doing the archetype series this year, we step back and tap into the wisdom prophecies that have been here forever, the teachings that have said there would come this time when, humanity needs to have a shake-up, and we need to have a wake-up. And there's a reason why the people who are trying to control the narrative in the world, have made the word woke something that's bad. But if you think about it, it's like, why wouldn't we want more people to be awake? I mean, to be awake just means to be able to see what is real. To be awake means to have self-awareness. To be awake means to have access to your intuition. To be awake versus asleep in our lives, because it's easier to control people who are asleep. It's easier to control people who are in the survival mode. So if you look around, what's been systemically happening, and this isn't just a new thing, y'all, you got to remember, this is why we work on time cycles. This has been happening for thousands of years, and it's accelerated as time seems to be moving faster. And for those of us who are awake, for those of us who do vision and know a world that's rooted in wholeness and humanity and humility and dignity and love and compassion and all the things that humanity can choose, it's really important more than ever that we lean into our practices for personal sustainability. And that's why in this season, the season 10, I'm doing one episode at the quarter points, or kind of whenever they decide to show up. We just activated the Weaver connector. I'm also dropping in an episode that's connected to personal sustainability. And so these practices, this one particular, the December Downshift, which we're adding on the consciousness upshift as well, and I'll tell you why when we get to that part today in our conversation. And really this in itself is a ritual. So I am going to invite you into taking this in all your senses, to not just make this a mental exercise, but to just really kind of breathe into your whole system here for a moment of really, take a breath into the mind and notice that part of you, that one of 4 realms of our main energy bodies. But also take a breath into your heart. Maybe an exhale, and then drop that breath down into your belly and let your belly soften and expand. Let your body relax. It's the first step of downshifting, daily downshifting, weekly downshifting, monthly or moonly downshifting. I mean, this is a practice we do when we're really living in a place that's sustainable rhythm that helps us be. And why we do that is because not only is it keeps us out of burnout and overwhelm, but it's also what keeps us tuned into our deeper intuition and our guidance systems and that imaginal field and what some people call the higher self or the super consciousness, or sometimes it's called your ka. It's like your soul body. Lots of different names through lots of different wisdom traditions, but it's almost like if you try to give it a name, it doesn't exist. But it is that part of us that is that living, radiant grace that is here and it's guiding us. But we have to tune in. We have to slow down. We get to slow down. And so the December Downshift is about that. It's about many things. And every year we come back to it, and it's here. I usually drop this in at the beginning of December. We're about the 11th today, but whenever you're listening to this is fine, to go from 5th gear to 4th gear so that we can go from 4th gear to 3rd gear by the time we get to the solstice, so we can drop that into the 2nd gear and really replenish, maybe even hit neutral. I always say the first week of January is like, just stay in neutral, everybody. Just stay in neutral so that we can upshift into January. So for those of you who are new here, this might be new. For those of you who've been around for a while, you'll know this. And we're gonna go through 3 parts today. But before we go into these 3 parts, because I tuned in and said, okay, what are the themes for this year? I actually listened to last year's December Downshift. I had a cold, I had sniffles. It was kind of fun to listen to myself last year. And I was like, this is really good. But this is how we work in the wisdom traditions, is like the ritual stays the same because it works. And then the energy is different every year. This is the thing that I feel like in me trying to like being this power pause pusher of trying to help get individuals and leaders and teams and just people in general to pause at the end of the year, but also at the middle of the year, at least 3 times, a year, to pause and really reflect at those cross quarter points, which is 4. It makes so much sense. It's like, why wouldn't you do that, right? But it's like the resistance, you all, is so intense. And just the other day, I saw Harvard Business Review posted an article on stop and celebrate. And it was like trumpets had gone off and people were like, oh yes, we should do this. And I'm like, to be a Harvard Business Review. But it's okay. It's all good. It's good. It's sometimes, as a person who's been, and many of you might feel this too, I've been saying this for like 20 years and, I don't know. It's like I'm chalking like the Peanuts lady. But it was a good sign. It was like, and people really responded to it, which made me happy. And so just there's momentum, right? Evidence of momentum that people are understanding this. So there's a way, because we know that the end of December is just a made up time. It's not January 1st, just a made up situation. It is a day that Julius Caesar and Pope Gregory kind of combined around the calendars for different reasons, sliced everything into 12 cycles instead of 13 cycles, which basically took a whole cycle out of how we operate as humans, which is partly why we're all stressed about time, because we have 12 cycles instead of 13. But when you start to work, and this will be our first, I did ours for today. This is going to be our first one. Ritual and rhythm is part of how we make it through this time, and not just make it through like, I'm just going to pray that somebody comes and saves us. I'm just going to pray that people who seem to be insane are going to wake up and gain their humanity. I mean, did you all watch Christmas Carol? I watch 2 or 3 versions a year. I've watched my second one by now. And I'm just like, why can humanity not understand? Like, why are there so many Scrooges? And how long do we have to wait for the Scrooges? Or It's a Wonderful Life and Mr. Potter, right? Mr. Potter does never, I don't know what happens to Mr. Potter. He never becomes a good person. George realizes how wealthy he is and through the relationships he has, but I don't think Mr. Potter ever wakes up. And sometimes people like that don't wake up. Greed is greed, and all the things that are under that, which are often scarcity and love cracks and all the things, are hard eggs to break. Sometimes those people have to come around again. Some people say that Earth is a school. I would just set the curriculum to get an upgrade. So what are we going to do about that? You and I'm going to invite you into to this December downshift to choose to do it differently and to start January. Remember, January is the dreaming time. We do just like we're going to downshift from 5th gear to 4th gear to third gear, so that by the time we get to the beginning of January, we're in neutral, and you don't just go like back into work and re-engage and like ratchet it up to 5th gear. You go to 1st gear and 2nd gear and 3rd gear, and like 5th gear should not be our normal operating. Like usually you want to be somewhere between like 3rd and 4th, gear. You might have times that you're at 5th, but we've talked about this before. That's a high level of intensity. And so we have been energetically under a lot of intensity. So let's just take a moment and just acknowledge that. Like the kind of intensity that we have been feeling, we can't see it, a lot of it, but it's in there. So there's the energetic intensity, there's the emotional drain, and just like the hardness on our hearts. I can't tell you how many small wise woman sobs I've had this year just at the grief around humanity's choices. The mental strain, the physical strain for real physical things like my health insurance, they want me to pay what? Like just like real things that are happening. These build up to create distress in our system. And this is like ancient traditional Chinese medicine. This is Ayurveda. This is like so many. This is why we do cyclical clearings and cleansings and purifying. I got like, not just like in the Western world, it's like, gotta lose weight, I ate too many cookies, whatever. And then I'm gonna start doing coffee enemas in the morning. And just like this whole way that the sacredness of living in rhythm and working with ritual gets commoditized or gets like fast tracked. And so I'm gonna bring us in today through 3 hours around this December downshifting. And it's kind of like a meditation / a process with some inquiries. But before we go into that part, I just want to say a couple things. So number one, the 16th annual year-end reflection ritual is happening this year. It's live on the 21st, but you can do it anytime. Just go to reflectionritual.com and sign up for that. I'm doing it live, me and some friends. I've been doing it for 16 years with different friends in different places. I've done it in wine bars. I've done many different things. This one will be virtual. You can do it anywhere. It comes with a guidebook. So do get that. You could do it anytime you want to in December or early January. Noah and I will also be sharing a new updated year-end reflection ritual for couples that we are been working on. We just got some new headshots when we were down in San Diego for our anniversary, and we are committed to putting energy towards supporting co-creative couples and couples that want to thrive together and create a really beautiful partnership together and or are also creating things in the world together. So that will be up there as well. And then also will be starting for those of you that are interested in actually taking the rhythms of the year and working it with intention and visioning this year with us. So every year, the 11th year for the Emerge Visioning and Focusing experience, that is also starting. We start with reflection, but we officially start on the 5th of January, always, or wherever the first Sunday is. So you can learn more about that at emergevisioning.com, which also has the full flow 2026 Vision, Co-Create, and Elevate for the Feminine Wisdom Collective as well. So those are where to go. Reflectionritual.com for the reflection ritual and or come check out Emerge Visioning and the Flow 2026. We'd love to have you, if you are a person co-creating and want to work with all the things we talk about here and put them into practical intentions to dream your dream. So we can dream it together. And, game is not over, you all. We are in the midst of what they call the Great Turning. And what I do believe is what Joanna Macy said, is that we don't want to just be in business as usual and just be asleep. And this is a great time, as the Hopi elders say, it's like, let go of the frickin' shore, whatever you're holding on to. This is a wood snake year, y'all. So it's like whatever you've been rubbing up against and whatever, this is why we're doing the uplift a little bit later today. It's like why I'm inviting us into the consciousness uplift. We're all like the snake we had a snake, in order to lose her skin, she like rubs up against a tree and punctures like her skin. It's like rips it off. Like that shit isn't like comfortable, It's like, can't we just be good people and not have to elevate? And from a consciousness perspective, we're going through a massive, if we make it through, we're going through a massive elevation that humanity has been moving towards, depending on who you ask, 11,500 years, 2,500 years, 5,000 years, 300 years. And we're at that tearing point, and we're going into 2026 is going to be a fire horse year. So it's a lot of intensity, a lot of fast movement. It's also the Wheel of Fortune and then Tarot. So that's like the turning, like literally is the great turning. So we need these practices more than ever because they're going to be what keeps us centered and sustained in a chaotic world. And chaotic doesn't have to be bad. But chaos is it's a lot. And sometimes I think what we're looking at when I can get to this place, I'm like, how bad does it have to get to awaken our hearts as humans, to really wake up and let that full compassion come through a lot? So for those of us that have done a fair amount of work, there's still subtle parts in there that need to be shimmy-shammied. I'm working one piece of my own consciousness upliftment using the gene keys is the technology I work with. And I'm working with it, and I've been working with it almost all year, because one of the practices that we do in the Feminine Wisdom Way and the Emerge process is we choose a toxic habit to release, and then we choose an act of compassion to embrace. And then we really say, okay, like, show me the things, that the patterns that are interfering with me, really expressing as my full self and being able to, play my part in this beautiful orchestra. And then the universe shows them to you. So this is a real fertile time, also in addition to downshifting, so we can regenerate and also reflect and all of that. It's also a really powerful time to look at those subtle things that are the patterns that you just can't take with you. As we go into 2027, I've said this multiple times. Again, this is not my teaching. This is the wisdom teachings. There are these points in these human, almost like shock energy points. The late 80s was one, another one in 2012, another one in 2027, taking us forward from there. And the metaphor is the dragonfly who spends most of its life in the water until one day it realizes, oh my God, I've been swimming around in the water. I didn't even know I was in the water. It attaches to a reed and it climbs up, and off the exoskeleton comes, and then these beautiful wings come out. And so maybe you could be a butterfly right now, but a lot of us are dragonflies, and we're dropping exoskeletons that we just don't need so that we can play our part in reweaving and reimagining for the now and the next. So, okay, I know that was a lot. That was a lot. I gotta take a sip of water. Hold on a second. I lit a candle for us all in my glass baby, my blue glass baby I bought for myself for my birthday. It was this year or last year. It's for patience. So I'm going to invite in purposeful patience as we go into this December Downshift ritual together. So let's start with the first set of R's here. And so the first one around the December Downshift, I've actually talked a lot about it already, so I'm just going to say it so you get the R's, are ritual and rhythm. So everything that I just shared with you about the cyclical living and living in harmony with the cycles and thinking about where we are, and I know if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's a little bit different because the weather patterns are different. But you can translate that into the cycle of the year. And in the summer, for example, the shift in consciousness, right? About like just more radiance coming in. So there's like that mid-year summertime. And in winter, where we're at in the Northern Hemisphere, it's a going in time. It's a slowing down time. And in the banana world, it's like, buy stuff, eat, connect, go out, like all of that. And we just like wake up in a daze, before New Year's, and then just don't do that this year. Don't do that this year. And also don't go into this next year, it's like without being conscious about the ritual and rhythm that's going to hold you. So the ritual and the rhythm, if it's just the 8 turns of a year, if it's the moon cycles, if that's all you do, you're going to be so much, it's just going to be so much better for your nervous system, as simple as that is. And whether you do that with us in the Feminine Wisdom Way Collective, or you do it on your own, try it and play with it. It does so much to our biorhythms. And then there's other rhythms, right? Looking at your weekly rhythm and looking at your daily rhythm and these rituals that we do. So whether the ritual is coffee, or whether the ritual is sitting down and doing your presencing practice during the day in your morning before you engage, scrolling on Facebook or social media is not a ritual. I mean, it could be, but I just really want to impress this piece on this. It's part of the consciousness uplift to be really aware of, if you are a person who engages a lot in social media and the scrolling and all of that, notice what it's doing to your energy system, your emotional system, your mental system. There's so much underneath. There's good in the technology, and there is a lot of stuff in there that is harmful and keeps us out of our full integration and our capacity to connect to that higher consciousness and our integrated self. And so just notice what that's like. I, on Monday, dipped in on Monday night. I should have went to pottery, but instead I tuned into what was going on in the world and read some Heather Richardson Cox stuff and watched John Stewart. And I needed to do it because I needed to see some things. So usually I dip my toe in and then I come out. But it really messed me up energetically for 2 days. I'm just coming out the other side of it. And it's and that's part of where then I have these rituals. Today is the half moon waning. So I'm with all of you. I'm taping the podcast. The half moon waning is a going in time. It's connected to the archetype of the wise woman or the wise person, to wisdom. So I can refine my center. And that's what ritual and rhythm does. When we get dislocated, it helps us get orientated. And or proactively we put it into place so that if we kind of wobble 5% over, we don't fall into 100% the other way. And so just taking a moment right now and just reflect on what are the rituals and rhythm that has supported, what's supported your energy system? What's supported you to maintain clarity? What's supported you to move from unease into your intuition? What's replenished you? And just notice what some of those things are. They don't all have to be woo, meditation, and I'm just being enlightened. There's lots of different kinds of rituals and rhythm. Creativity is a great one. It's why I take pottery to actually sign up and I'm going to this class now. And so just notice what those have been and maybe jot some of these things down, because these can create what I call your radiance wheel. It's a practice we do in the feminine wisdom way, and I also use with my clients, is where you kind of write a list of these are all the things that suck out my radiance and drain it, or mess up my frequency, F up my frequency, tweak me out. And these are the things that keep me centered and replenish me. And if you can see those things, then, and you can write them down, and the handful of those, what those are, and you put them into your life as a whatchamacallit, as a rhythm, this is actually the time to start doing that. As you're downshifting in December and then into neutral, and then you'll upshift into January, start putting those things back into place now. This is a really good way to get out of the linear time stuff and save yourself the extra weight from sugar consumption. Don't wait till, I don't even know why I still have to say this, but don't wait till January 1st. It's a made up day. Yes, it's helpful, but it's look at the moon cycle. That's where the real energy shifts happen. But the whole New Year's resolutions, we know that they don't work. They're ridiculous. They're always based on guilt and obligation or hope and wishful thinking. It's do yourself a favor and start now. I'm returning to Pilates. I haven't been to Pilates in 3 months. I took a break, and I restart on December 15th. So put some of these things, just even adding one in a week, and or saying, oh, you know what, I'm gonna do that. It will, knowing that you're gonna do a visioning process, putting some place markers into January now, so that it's already all in place and it's happening, versus having to be stuck in that cultural craziness. And why this matters, you all, because why are we talking about this? The world is melting down. We need your spirit and your heart and your mind and your body to be healthy and strong and radiant and full of life. And we need you to be able to have and plug into that deeper guidance within yourself so that you can play your part. And we also need you to feel connected so that we can walk through this together. And so this is actually an act of service to really look at the ritual and rhythm and say, these are actually the things I need to support my radiance, and have them in place. You don't even have to think about it come January when the rest of the world, the overculture, is freaking out. All right. Does that sound good? All right. Ritual and rhythm. Ritual and rhythm. Okay. Now let's move over to part number 2 here. And we'll do more of this in the reflection ritual, but I'm just kind of getting you all primed up to, downshift here is like the next part is about reflecting and recognizing. So I love the word recognizing. Well, there's another R word, which is receive. And so this is why we do reflection rituals, why we actually pause and look back at the last year, or, in the case I was saying with the team I was doing that work with, that the last 4 years, a cycle of time, 4.5 years that they've been together as a team. I did this with a team that had been together for like a year last year, and they were disbanding as a team. And so we had an honoring ritual for them and looked back at what they had accomplished and what changed for them all together. We did that last January. It was such a beautiful ritual with them to really reflect and recognize so that you can receive. So the way that works is if we don't slow down to reflect, then you don't recognize what you've actually done, the impact that you've had, the progress that you've made. It doesn't get into your body, your brain, your being. And so you just are consistent, the pressure still goes with you. And people often say to me, Christine, why do you call them power pauses? Like, no one knows what that means. You should change the name. People are always telling me to change the name of things, just like when I created the Path of Self-Love. They're like, no one's going to do stuff for self-love. They're going to think you're weird. Maybe you should change the name. I'm like, that's the whole point. We need to redefine what self-love is. I'm not changing the name, which of course means that less people find it because it's not in the overculture mainstream yet, but that's okay. I'm just doing my part. So power pauses, I call them power pauses because they really both unleash power. They give us energy. They give us energy. They give us insight. And so first question is, how have you already been pausing and slowing down to reflect? Like, what are the rituals and rhythm that you already do at the year end and the year start? So I know a lot of you out there are already doing it. So we want to just start first by recognizing what you're doing and how long you've been doing it, and just recognize that for yourself. Sometimes we forget, how far we've grown, for lack of a better term. And for those of you that are brand new to this, that's okay, because you got to start somewhere. And if you're anywhere in the middle, you can be like, I've done, it's like, oh, I write a couple things down, but this year I'd really love to give myself the space of a couple weeks. We do the reflection ritual on the 21st of December this year, but I take a good week to fully do my reflecting. I mean, in some ways I'm already starting. I've gone through a bunch of paper work in my office today, and I was looking through some of my client files, and I found just people that I had worked with over the last maybe 4 years, and I was looking at I do these drawings, I do visual thinking and illustrations for often my clients, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to send these to them. So I copied, I did a little click, and I took a photo and I sent it, and it was like such a beautiful ritual to reflect for me on the women that I've worked with and the other leaders that I guess there was a couple men in there too. I would work with more men. More men would show up. I'm not gender biased. It's just usually it's the women, but I would be totally open to working with men, and do love working with the men I've had a chance to work with. But it was so lovely for me to just be able to see, because I know where they are now, where we were when we started. And so I was allowing myself to really recognize my part in that, but also be able to receive it by sending them and connecting and saying, hey, I was thinking of you, And So this is kind of what I'm inviting you into for yourself, is to think of this downshifting time. So like fifth gear to fourth gear, like third gear, like, like we're in third gear and it's kind of like it's natural flow. You could start doing it now. It's like I also went through like a bunch of my files, just all my projects and stuff, and moved them around, and it was just like bring that consciousness into your life to see. Sometimes you just have a moment and you're like, wow, I've lived in this place. Like, how long have you lived where you've lived? Or who are the new people in your life that weren't there before, like last year? Like starting to look around and notice and reflect so that you can recognize it. It's like that's that recognition part. And then that third part is receive. Because if you don't pause to receive it and take it in, it's still like kind of just, it's like you get it mentally, but you don't get it in your heart and your body and your spirit. So this is why with the reflection ritual, I also invite you all to invite a friend with you, or if you are in a partnership, you don't have to do the full one with your partner. Noah and I will do it, so it's pretty short for you all for the partnership. But Noah and I do this. We do it over the course of usually, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 10 days. Sometimes we end up going to like a fancy hotel and sitting by a Christmas tree, and we do our parts of our reflection ritual there. Sometimes we take a walk. We kind of pace it out over days. And by sharing it with somebody else and sharing and reflecting your successes and your progress and your wins and your challenges and the story of your year is so, and then they reflect back to you what they've heard. It goes in a whole other way. And so consider that, this year as a gift to give yourself and to give others. And so I'm going to share with you a couple of things that start even kind of thinking about right now and kind of recognizing. And then we're just going to take it down a notch to second gear here. So if you can close your eyes and just bring your energy into yourself and drop fully back into all parts of your body. And if you can't close your eyes, just take a breath and let's slow it down a gear. And just presence yourself, locate yourself here, the end of a Roman calendar year, 12 months, going on 13 moons, not quite yet because the lunar moons aren't until February, but that's okay. We can keep reflecting. But just find yourself in time and space. And just taking a look back, all the way back to January of this year, and all the months and seasons that have happened from February and March equinox to April and May 1st, cross quarter point, to the June solstice, mid-year point, through to August 1st, cross quarter, through the fall into fall equinox, the harvest time through November 1st, the last harvest, all the way back to wherever you're standing right now. And I'm going to shine the light in two areas. One is impact. I know that you have made a difference on this planet, and I invite you to open up to recognizing and receiving how you've made a difference on this planet. And I love to do this first by just seeing if you can tune into, connect with the people who your presence, your energy, your care has made a difference to this year. See if you can open your heart and pick one or two. I like to go one at a time, but where you can kind of go one and then two or three and see these people's faces. Presence them in your mind's eye. Allow yourself to recognize the impact that your choice to show up has had in their life. And to really receive that your presence has made a difference. And perhaps look at it both personally and professionally. both with people who you know really well, but also with people maybe who you don't. It would have been a small interaction, an act of kindness, or just seeing somebody. And maybe even on groups of people. Notice how you showing up for one person had an impact on showing up how they were able to show up. And see those people. And also, perhaps you have a team or a community or an organization or some way that your presence has brought people together and made a difference. And just let that sink in to your heart, to your body, to your being, in your brain, that your presence matters. In fact, I would say that your presence is the most powerful thing that you have, which is why rhythm and ritual are so important, because they're what allow us to stay integrated so we can be that presence. All right, deep inhale and exhale to really let that come in. And then the other part around impact, I invite you to reflect on here, are the projects that you've given your energy to that maybe were invisible. Call this the invisible impact. Both of these are invisible impact. It's a big piece of my work is to help teams see their invisible impact, especially when they impact culture, because culture, I always say, is like the water you swim in. You don't see it until it's really, really dirty and really, really toxic. And so many of the teams I work with have all this invisible impact, and so many of us as leaders, and remember, leader doesn't mean a position, it's you but it's you showing up, this invisible impact. So the invisible impact first is from the people that you've made a difference to, you've made a difference in their lives that you don't need to post on social media, but it made a difference, all the way to what were those projects that you gave your time and energy to that are invisible, perhaps, like not, maybe even intangible. They might be very tangible, but just not, they're not the shiny things. They're not the things that everyone posts up or even that they get accolades for at work. It's the invisible stuff. And just, or even, projects that were that part. Like usually they're not that sexy always. Like Noah and I spent the year migrating off of systems that we no longer want to be using for me to communicate with, because I don't need that big of a machine or operating machine to run things. So we've been paring down all year, and it's not, Noah's really running that. And so it's important for me to acknowledge his invisible impact, because he's been moving it forward. And this happens a lot in partnerships and teams. Like oftentimes the people who do the external stuff get more of the valor than the people who do the invisible stuff. And so just noticing for yourself where you've had an invisible impact on the projects and the things that you've taken care of, even, that for your family and for others that don't get the glory, but they're like the things that need to happen, like taking the car to get the brakes done, or taking the garbage out, or paying the bills, or whatever. Just what are those invisible acts that you've done that makes everything work? And recognize that right now. Value that right now. Part of our distortion that shows up, it leaks our power, is we want someone else to recognize it, but we have to recognize it first and really receive that it mattered. It would be funny, wouldn't it, if we started posting up on social media like, I paid my bills today, I balanced my checkbook, I took my mother to the grocery store, I cut my dog's toenails today. Like, Oh, that would be, I don't know if that would be better or not, but well, how about that? I'm sorry, just cracking up. We got to keep it light, you all. If we're like too serious, sorry, I know we were in a meditative state, but I just felt like we needed a little levity. Okay. All right. Last one here on reflected, recognize, and receive. Progress made. So I just have been walking around the house this last couple of days being like, I love incremental progress. So we got invisible impact. That was the one we just did. Now it's incremental progress. This is like a big flip the finger to the overculture of greed and incessant growth and productivity at any cost by us saying we value incremental progress. Because just like the story of the turtle and the hare, it's like the hare might, get there first, but doesn't matter. He misses the journey, right? It's like this fast culture. So one thing that we can do that is I considered an act of invisible activism is valuing incremental progress. And so instead of completions are great, wins are great too, but it's like you got to dig deeper into that. It's like, what does that mean? Incremental progress. So what are a couple things that you've made some incremental progress on? One or two that you're like, this is in a different state today than it was at the beginning of the year. It's not done. It's not finished. But there's been momentum and progress. These ones are really good because the incremental progress also shows you where there's momentum. So as you go into January and you spend January really tuning into where to best put my energy, how to best prioritize, what goes, my friend Shasta and I call it, what goes on the front burner and what goes on the back burner, but it's still on the stove. It's like it might have 6 burners, but you can't have all of them on the front of the stove. And some might be in the oven cooking for even longer on slow cook. And so that's what January is for, is really tuning in and resonating. But this part here of first recognizing it and receiving while progress was made, it's like it gives you energy. Like, okay, like there's energy there and I don't have to be all freaked out if I don't get it all done because there's momentum there. And this is one of the keys to sustainability so that we can use our power and presence to shape the world we know is possible. Is that things take time and we work it in cycles. And so momentum is a big piece of this, of really knowing where the momentum is, part of what we do in the emerge process of getting really clear on that. So those are the recognize and receive. All right, so we have ritual and rhythm, reflect, recognize, and receive. So these are all part of the downshifting. And then the third one here, we're just going to kind of touch in on this one. We do a deeper process in the reflection ritual each year that's so awesome, of really kind of honing in on where the challenges and the shorts were. Releasing and so you can replenish, to reset, is a big piece of the December downshift. It's kind of like, how animals, when they have a stressor, they like shake their bodies off. We need to like shake our bodies off so we don't bring in the distress and the heavies and the resentments and the judgments and the disappointments and all of that. So do you have a ritual already that you do to make sure that you release and reset so that you can really replenish? If you don't, come to the reflection ritual or go find one. Go find one, because it's really, I'm not going to walk you through all of that. You could either get the reflection ritual that we're going to do on the 21st, which is a great one. We also have one in our Power Pause for leaders. If you're more interested in doing a little bit less of a spiritual, it's not spiritual, but more kind of just more like, just go check it out. If you go to year-end Power Pause, we did this one for leaders who maybe aren't as ready to go deeply into the divine, and they need to process, but they don't want to dance with the divine. So the reflection ritual brings the divine in, because the divine is soul and it's spirit, and when she's not hiding, the divine is not hiding. Don't mean to amorphize it, but that divine energy that is here with us, grace that's here with us, that's all wrapped into how I co-create at a higher level of dimensionality, because then it's not all on us. We're working with this, we're working with spirit, whatever that is. This is not religion. This is about the invisible energies that are here to work with us, the elements on Earth, the planets, the cosmos, the universe. Like, it's not some new, and it's like funny, the new age thing always cracks me up. I'm like, it is a new age. We are going into a new age. That's a good thing, y'all. Like, so the discounting of new age is part of the plan, right? So we are going into a new age. So yeah, it is a new age, like working from a higher dimensional frequency that's rooted in love and compassion. That's what we're doing, driven by wisdom. So with that, you gotta release. And so just think about right now, what's one thing you already know that, oh yeah, you're like, I would like to really release that, and write that down. And if you don't have a ritual, come to ours or try ours, or just let the universe know, hey, I would like a way to release this. And it could be as simple as going out for a walk. It could be simple as writing on a piece of paper and, doing a burning bowl session. Lots of different ways to release. Okay. Take a breath. One more release here. As you look forward into this downshifting, are there any obligations that you are operating from that are coming from guilt or have-tos or shoulds or I always have? And here's a way you can just release that. Anything that's happening from obligation this December is just a no. And if you can feel the obligation or the guilt or the FOMO or the fear of letting someone down, this is always where we practice the reflow, or we ask, what's the sacred third? What's the third option? Kind of what's the middle path that will create wholeness? And sometimes it means not going. I just went to a birthday party for a friend, and I didn't want to go because I didn't want to be in that energy field. I really like the friend. I don't like the friend's friends. And not that I don't like them. It's not about like we're not in high school. I just had worked, I was in a time of intensity. I had given a lot of energy, and I didn't have the energy to be around people I didn't know. Or maybe I don't have a resonance with. And I just know that about myself in December. Like, I kind of joke, I'm like, if I don't already know you, I'm not probably going to spend time with you in December. And it's not anything to do with you. I just need to bring my energy in so that I can really replenish. And so there are these ways in which you might even want to do it. Like tonight they're having a thing that's happening for the Indivisible group in Asheville, who sponsors, among many other things, King's Marches, but are doing much more than that. And I was like, I could go to their holiday party and I could go meet some of the people. And then I'm like, no, what do I need? I need to go to yoga. That's what I need for my system. And I'll see those people in January. And so it's like that, just releasing yourself from anything that is going to be an energy drain, even if it's something that you're going to have FOMO about, even if it disappoints somebody. It's okay, because the way the universe works, it's that wholeness of ask the question, what's the sacred third? And you will. So I did the sacred third. I'm like, they had a live call today. I went to that on the Zoom at 3:00, and then I'm going to go to yoga. That was the sacred third. So when you ask that question, what's the sacred third? It releases you from obligation, FOMO, fear, etc. All right, let's see, where are we? We did ritual and rhythm, reflect, recognize, and receive. We just did release, so you can reset and replenish. The last part of that, before we complete here, is just in case I want to triple underline it for you, really be, because this goes with the replenishment part here, really be cognizant of your energy. And what do you need, body, mind, heart, and spirit, to regenerate and to reset and to replenish? You get to have that. Don't screw yourself out of it. There are things you might want to do. There are people you might want to see. And if it's not in alignment, we just do the reflow. Not now. When is right timing? It's so important to allow yourself to, if you look at the calendar of the year, it's a circle. December's on the bottom, solstice, darkest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. Obviously, it's opposite in the southern. And then you have November 1st and February 1st on either side. And if you put your hands together, kind of see that bottom of the circle, it's like a little bowl or like a little chalice, like it's holding you. And this time of like really like the trees are doing, is letting yourself deeply restore and replenish. And it doesn't mean you can't go be with people. It just means do the things that really support that radiance. This is for me one of the most creative times. I'm very creative during this time. I also go through my inbox and get rid of all the things. I do some coherency, but I'm really creative. I've written journals, like full workbooks and journals. I wrote the Emerge journal one year. I wrote the Flow Your Year journal the second year. It can be very creative, but it's a different kind of creativity. It's like an internal creativity. And for me, that's restorative. If I just had to sit around and be like, I'm replenishing, like I would go banana pants. That doesn't have to, that's the relaxing part. So, what creativity adds energy to you. So be really full permission to be very, how do I want to say it? Clear on what's resonant for your field, body, mind, heart, and spirit. And then be graceful with what isn't. It's okay, because this is about really not recharging your batteries because you're not a computer, but replenishing yourself, body, mind, heart, spirit, and maybe even soul. And I think that kind of wraps us up. That's the resonance. I guess that's the fourth part, that resonance and receive. So really being in the fields that are resonant, then you can receive in. And then I guess I'll see you, hopefully at the reflection ritual. And if I don't see you at the reflection ritual, hopefully I'll see you for Emerge visioning. That would be wonderful. Or I'll see you back here. December solstice is the next turn. So we're supposed to have a new archetype. We'll see. I know which archetype is coming. So maybe even though the Weaver connector was a little bit later than planned, she's not going away. So remember, these aren't like, oh, well, we're done with that one, because the Weaver connector, we're going to want to bring with us into how we co-create the next. And so these are some of the inquiries as I think Hanukkah's on the 15th this year, and then there's solstice, and then there's Christmas, and all of these days, these holy days, are really just all about the return of the light. Whatever story you believe in and you want to wrap around it is all good. And it really is about the return of the light. Even if you think about the word Christmas, it means more Christ or more light. And Hanukkah is about the light. And so it's solstice, which has always been here because it's how the planet works, is the return of the light. And then humans make up stories and put figures there, and some of them are historically true and some of them aren't historically true. So we have to hold all of this with lightness. But it is the return of the light. And so that time is, like I would say, when the humans slow down and the earth gets, the earth can be in her natural pace. It's kind of like during COVID, like how all the animals started coming out, and people's hair got longer, and people were just more relaxed. And then many went back to the madness matrix. But this is a little moment of that. So when the humans slow down, and you're going to be downshifting already, also side note, be really mindful also about how you're spending your energy of money and resources and where you put it at this year, and aligning that to how you want to be with this time. There's so much that's wrapped up in this time span that has been overlaid by the overculture that is connected to the Mr. Potter syndrome of greed we're seeing playing out at a macro level. And it might seem like, what could I do just by my choices of where you choose to spend money, how you choose to spend it or not spend it. Last year, we said to Noah's family, we don't want you to send us gifts. We love you. And if you want to donate money to these two organizations that are doing good work that we want to continue to support, and that's what they did, and it was great. We didn't need something from them. So there are lots of different ways to do that. I don't buy a Christmas tree. I buy a Christmas wreath because I don't want to kill a tree. So even though it's grown for that purpose, no judgment. I used to buy them all the time. These are just things that work for me. So find that for yourself. And then as we go into January, it will be about like really allowing yourself to dream. We start the dreaming time usually right around the 29th of December, because the humans get real quiet. And that's when we start to ask some really beautiful inquiries that are more operating on the subtle realms, where if you can slow down and get yourself downshifted, by the time you get there, there'll be these inquiries. And I'll do some kind of episode when we with the archetype, and also come to the reflection ritual or join us for a merge. They're really beautiful because everyone's quiet. And so that's where we want to get you to, so that you can hear that deeper wisdom and then be guided by that higher spirit within you that's fully integrated, body, mind, heart, and spirit, that knows your destiny, knows your path, knows all the parts, knows where to focus, what to let go. There's no rush. There's just a call to presence. And working with the rhythms will keep you sustained and centered and clear in these times. Thank you for being here today for this. Thank you for practicing this. Thank you for all the invisible ways that you have made a difference in this world. And send blessings to you and the part of your consciousness that you are working with and upgrading within your own system, the skin that's being, torn off, and the things that are healing within you. It's part of the beauty of this time is that it allows for us to have deep heart alchemy and alchemize the scarcity and the fear and the resentments and just what is inside of us as humans who were born at this planet at this time. And so as you downshift and you're with that, I just want to acknowledge to all of you who are doing the heart alchemy, parts to elevate your own vibration and your own capacity to be a compassionate, loving human who is that embodied fierce grace. I know there's been many of the people I know and work with have met what we call initiations, whether it's job shift, a divorce, lots of lists of what those are. Just know that you are not alone, and I look forward to us stepping through into the year of the horse, fire horse, and the wheel of fortune together. And if you want to share this podcast, that would be my one ask, is to share this podcast, send it to a friend, and then do the reflection ritual together. And if you are in partnership, try the reflection ritual that Noah and I put together. There was a simple version and it'll be a longer version depending on how deep you all like to go, and that will also be on the reflection ritual as well. All right, my friends, sending you off with much love. See you soon.